It's us again.
Hello.
Balancing
Hi.
the act, episode 2. Rerun. Let's do this again.
You
No,
can't even balance anything. Come on,
I
man.
know
What's
I
going
can't.
on
I
here,
can't balance
Burza?
my words. No, no way.
That's all right. I can barely
Denpai,
balance on my own 2 feet.
Denpai, how you
Burza,
doing?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
I'm good. Good. We're doing this on a Wednesday this time, not on a Friday.
Nope.
As you saw, we're gonna try to keep that cadence going, more or less. And
Cadence.
yeah.
Cadence. You got me thinking about cycling already. We were talking
See,
about it
when I
earlier.
hear, well, when I hear cadence, that's the number one thing I think about is cycling.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yep.
I'm not
That is
surprised.
that is what it once again, it's because of watching Yoamushi pedal. I learned about cadence, and I was
Oh,
like, "Yo!" I mean, that thing taught me a lot, dude. Like I said, it's just shit I would have never learned about. But ladies and gentlemen, it is good to be back here for episode 2 of Balancing Act. I am your King Denpai, and this is the man, the myth, the legend, senior communications director.
no, manager,
No,
director, I
manager,
wish.
manager. Sorry, manager. There we go. At CDPR, the legend, Mr. Burza himself, the
Jesus
man
Christ.
who's gonna run me through the gauntlet today. Like
Mm.
today's topic is something that you're pretty damn versed about, brother.
CCGs is the topic, so it's kind of something that
Your bread
I'm
and
known
butter.
for to some extent because
Mm.
I've had the pleasure of working on Gwent, which a card game for what it's like 7 years now, almost or something
Hmm.
like that. So it's been quite a long time. And yeah, I mean, I've always grew up loving card games, but we'll get to that. And CCGs is the name of the game today. It is something that is always dear to my heart, and that probably people that are in chat know me from CCGs. So, what about you
It
when
is.
you and CCGs? Like, what's the
I
story
said it as
there?
a joke on Twitter, man. I got 2 Pokemon cards and a business card from an estate agents in Leeds. Like
Those are your
that.
cards.
That's my no. I mean, I grew up, like in card games and stuff, from Pokemon to Yu-Gi-Oh. That was sort of like my, adolescent experience.
Yeah.
I never really got heavy into it as an adult. Actually, the CCG ness, as it were, was games. That
Okay.
was my avenue. It was like, video games. Gwent was the big catalyst, and then from there it just sort of went into everything. I've dabbled in Magic, but the online versions of it—that's the
Okay.
thing, like the video game versions.
So
I
you're
I
not
don't
much of a physical card enjoyer.
I it's not that I don't enjoy them. It's that I don't have the budget for them. you know, I
No one
I I
does. Even the
I
people
think
who are into them, they do not have the budget for them. Trust
exactly,
me.
bro. I mean, literally, I've shown it off multiple times, but literally, do you know how much these robots cost, man?
They're
These are
also
already
expensive.
Yeah, like we all got our expensive hobby. I don't know if my wife would forgive me, if I suddenly said, "So I'm gonna go into Magic, and it's
Hmm.
gonna cost me like I don't know, $250." By the way, we'll go run from
That's
there.
just
I mean,
one
I don't
deck.
know.
And that's
Yeah,
just one deck. I
exactly.
need to rotate those. It's just one for one
Everything
format.
changes. Like
Yeah.
Rashid talks about it all the time, and when he talks about it, and he talks very passionately about it, and it is I'm listening to him, and I'm like, my God, how do you afford this? How
You
do you
don't.
like? Yeah, exactly.
You just make sacrifices from, normal everyday human life and then not
It's
and setting priorities the wrong way. And I think that's how we kind of get away with the card game stuff. But yeah, like having a family that very quickly cards kind of go, the other route.
mhm.
Unless you have some money that, you want to splurge on something, then I feel like, if it's card games, I feel like it's a good investment for what you're
Well,
getting back, right?
Well, I would say yeah, and the thing though as well though that I kind of get is with like these hobbies and stuff that we have, from my robots to
Yeah.
card games and stuff like that. Something that always worries me when it comes to the physical angle of stuff, is like getting gifts for them. Well, like if you
Hmm.
have like a family member who like just like on a base level knows you're into card games or something,
Yeah.
and then they like just pick you out like a starter deck from Yu-Gi-Oh or something, like the cheapest thing from like a random shop, and it's like, oh, I got you this, and you don't want to
Yeah.
like be jerky towards the gift or anything, but it's like this will serve me no purpose whatsoever,
Yeah, that's
kind
why
of thing.
that's why in my case, like what we do is like normally Christmas gifts
Yeah.
this is like the place where I kind of get some like magic product that I need, that I know that I need. but I
Oh
make a
yeah.
list, which my wife is very diligent in sharing with the rest of the family. So I like got two commander decks, which I can see right from the corner of my eye right now.
You've got the list nearby.
Yeah, I got all my cards here next to me. Which pretty much, I knew that I need this. I knew that I want this, so they got this for me. So in this way, it works. But yeah, I agree with you. It was like, oh, so what is he into? Well, he's into this Magic the Gathering stuff. So they go to the stores like, hey, I have this person that's into Magic the Gathering. What can you give me? And the guy there is like, oh, this person doesn't know crap. So let's
Yeah,
just
exactly.
give him the starter deck for like those noobs. And then you get that and you're like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like I have,
Mm-hmm.
$300 worth of cards right here, and I'm not gonna be playing this starter deck for noobs because it's
That is
shitty.
exactly it. Yeah, like I like with the robots and stuff and figures and stuff. I'll just get like like a really cheap $20 Spider-Man figure or something for
Yeah,
that was made by like nobody who cares about what figurines are and
yeah,
articulation
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
stuff like that. So physical stuff it always kind of like gets me nervous.
Yeah,
But with
I
video
love
games,
collecting. I love collecting, which is kind of good and bad because,
mm,
fun fact, we had yesterday in our apartment done like a full on, like we had a wardrobe which was never done. We just kept boxes there,
yeah,
and so we could actually move our clothes from our bedroom to the wardrobe, and then also we got like this big storage space, also a place where you hang your coats, but you also have storage everywhere. So I started like moving stuff around and making space so there's less clutter around me. And what I did is I started going through like my magic cards, but like the bulk of my magic cards. And I counted 4 boxes like full of like magic cards, which I think one box holds a couple hundred thousands of cards. So it's like and that's just the bulk. I'm not talking about the cards which I have,
bro.
So no, it's 3,200 cards per box. So times 4 plus one big box, which was only half full of flesh and blood cards, and like 400 DBZ cards, and those are the ones that I don't play, but I just have as bulk and as stuff that I can actually go to and pull stuff from that I can, use. And they're the bulk. I also have like these 2 big binders and 3 small binders full of magic cards.
I want you have no idea how much I want to see those. Like simple as like
Yeah,
that is just
there's a lot of it.
oh,
And
holy
I
heck,
kind of
man.
kind of like I was thinking about it yesterday. I'm like,
Yeah,
when it comes to the bulk, you go through it from time to time if you're looking for specific cards when you're trying to build a deck. But apart from that, it's just sitting there and like collecting dust. So I was kind of
it's like
thinking that,
a full inventory in a game, right? Like it's
yeah,
just there.
yeah, I was kind of just thinking that would be good to probably like, um, you know, sell a little bit of them. Of course, I have like cards which mean a lot to me. Like I have a
Yeah, yeah, of
graded
course.
Charizard. I have like a Judge edition of a Sarah Angel, which was one of my first Magic cards that I ever had, like as a kid, with the art,
Mm.
the same art as I had when I was a kid. And yeah, the problem is that I recently also started playing Pokemon because my daughter's like she's learning to be better with math, and I
Yeah,
felt like card games are very good because you're learning math without the state of learning math, so she doesn't like treat it as a chore or as a thing she needs to do. She
it's
treats
more
it
engaging than
more,
just
yeah, you
the pen and
gamify it.
papers. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So when you gamify it, you make it more accessible. And I know from myself that when I gamified stuff for myself, it helped me to learn English better. It helped me to count better, and
Hmm.
and you always kind of still are thinking like 1, 2. Oh, okay, what's 15 minus 7 or whatever. You need to be always counting like your life. You need to be counting damage. You need to be counting all that stuff. So I feel like they've always had this positive and negative influence because on the other side, yeah, when you say like I'm into card games, so the first question is, oh, you gamble, right? Like even
Yep,
Zuby Doob
yep.
here is in chat said that By the way, it's like, this means, like, he told someone that I'm into, I think it was his dad, I'm into
Mm.
Gwent. What is it? It's a card game. So are you gambling online?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that you get. The other thing is, if people even know anything about Magic, like, Magic players are considered like these sweaty nerds that go to, game stores. They just sit around, they play cards, and they spend a lot of money on it, which they don't really have.
I mean, it's one of those things though, where it's like when it comes to having a passion for something like that,
Yeah.
I think the easiest thing to do, because we talk about the comparisons and how people might perceive us when it comes to, the sweaty nerds for Magic, people not understanding with gambling and
Yeah.
all these misconceptions. I think the easiest thing to do is to always just line in on who that person is. At least in my experience, I find like just whoever I'm talking to, I'm like, oh, but you like X. You really
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, you collected, 5 Blu-ray box set movies of, the Marvel films,
Yeah.
etc. And then
Yeah.
it's
That,
like,
that
so
that kind of opens
take
up your
that.
mind, right?
Yeah, yeah, you like trying to use the example and you go like, oh, take that, and then just put it with what I like, your love of Marvel films and collecting all those, Blu-rays, just put that to giant robots or card
Yeah.
games, and there you have it. And usually that tends to help. But man, the misconceptions at the start are always the hardest, man. Like you get literally, man. I still get people who from like my family side who like when they know I stream card games, like at
Yeah.
least or at least that was the echelon of what I was for a
Mm-hmm.
bit there.
Yeah.
And they still say, oh, he plays poker, and it's like, what? I mean, I love poker, don't get me wrong, but
Dude, I
you
like
know
learned to play poker like 3 or 4 years ago. Like, that
yeah.
was the earliest time I learned to play poker. Like, I've always kind of stayed away from traditional card games. Like, my parents and us, we never played cards or board games, or like we're never really into that.
Really, is that
Yeah.
like a Polish thing, or like
I
is
don't
that
know,
just like how you
maybe,
grew up?
maybe. I don't know. Like, my dad's not a fan of like board games for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we kind of didn't do that. Like, I know that, like, my wife's family, for example, they played a lot of board games together, so they were
Okay.
into that. So I think it's just a matter of who you are and what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of interesting because I'm also not a big fan of board games. Like, when it comes to getting into a new board game and stuff like that, it's like, oh, it's very hard to get into it. So I need to be kind of dragged into them, and maybe either I'll have fun, or if I don't like the mechanics, I kind of be like, I don't,
Are you a tabletop guy, by the way? Just out of curiosity, like a Dungeons and Dragons,
um,
Shadowrun, like, or
I
you
did
ever
a
do any
little
of
bit
that
of
stuff?
that, but when I was youngish, I was like
Yeah.
13, 14. Maybe that's when I kind of was, into it,
Mm.
but that was only the brief moment when I was really really into stuff like that. And then I kind of we stopped doing it because we never had like a proper, like, a dungeon master to kind of
Yeah.
like run the whole thing.
Nobody pulling you in, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's something that I saw is making like a very very nice resurgent now. I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
there's just stuff like Critical Role that does
Yep.
like an incredible job for it. So, and they're huge,
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing. But never really got into that. I've always been kind of into the card game aspect, and I was thinking about like why I really got into it. I feel like it's just like my first um like initial initiation into, let's say, Magic was a friend bringing cards to school, right, when I
Yeah.
was in the States.
That's how it always goes, I feel, for a lot of us, isn't
And
it?
yeah, and it never was something that I picked up by myself. That I was growing up. I was a time that I was very into comic books, comic
Mm-hmm.
characters, and stuff like that. I was watching a lot of like X-Men, the old 1990s something 2 or 3 show and stuff like
Ah,
that.
yes.
Batman the animated series, of course,
Of course, of course.
and all that stuff. So I was slowly enjoying those and the universe. I remember I would go to my parents' office because they had a printer. Like, we didn't have a printer at home at that time, and
Yep.
I would print like my favorite like X-Men heroes. So I have like Gambit, like Wolverine, like Cyclops, like all those, and I would just print them, Sabretooth, and just to collect them.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
That's so damn wholesome,
Yeah,
dude.
I
I
was
love
like,
that.
wow, you can print your favorite, stuff that you can check in the internet. I was like, wow, you don't have to go to the store and get like a physical comic book that you open up, and then you have like those characters there, where you can actually print really
We're
cool.
really showing our age right now, I feel, with that, because I was very similar growing up. Like I did that with printers at the library.
Yeah,
You know, I would just print out, and I would just be amazed by it for some reason. Be like, oh, I just
yeah,
have this picture. I really like that I found on DeviantArt or whatever. You know, I
yeah.
just have it,
Yeah,
and
now you can
yeah,
just attach it to your like your Pinterest or Tumblr or whatever, and just keep that
people just
stuff.
put it in their
Yeah,
Discord,
yeah.
profile picture, and that's how they do it.
Or
But
you
for
just
us, we
keep
would
them
like
on your
carry it around.
phone. Yeah,
I would print out pictures that I liked from like DeviantArt or whatever, and I would put
yeah.
it on binders on my that I had at school to show off, like to try
That's
and be
pretty cool.
geeky and like yeah, like that. Just slip it in the front and be like,
Yeah,
put MS Paint text on like
and then
what I was doing.
yeah, and then you have those jock kids going up to you like, "Hey, what the hell is this, nerd?"
Yeah, what's this nerd stuff, dork? Huh? Big dweeb. What is that anime stuff? And then years later, you see them on
Yeah,
socials, and they're like gushing about the latest anime.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Yeah, true that. I mean, that's how it started. So it started for me after that, after all that comic thing.
Yeah.
I had friends in school who were into card games and specifically Magic because it was 1990, like four or something like that. And I remember I had a friend that brought some cards and he explained to me kind of how you play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the first thing that really hit me, and I think it kind of stayed till now, is the fact that you're really there and into it for the art. Like the art is the first thing that
Yeah.
hits you because
Yeah.
like before you understand the mechanics, before you understand the text that is written on the card or the power, the toughness, and cost and stuff like that, this is, you notice like this big art. And I remember like seeing the art of like the angels and zombies and stuff like that were in the
Mm-hmm.
game at the time, or dragons was, I was slowly also getting into fantasy at the time. So
Yeah.
first, like, initiation into things like Tolkien and stuff like that, which my dad was already into
Mm.
because
I think he
my
said he's a reader, isn't he?
yeah, he is a reader. He is really
Yeah.
into books, and like it was fantasy but also sci-fi. And he kind of started with that. So actually then seeing like these portrayed characters that you read about actually done by artists in like such a phenomenal way, and I still get very like touched and excited by art even right now.
Mm-hmm.
It was just it was just incredible. So that's where it started from. And then they were like, yeah, you can collect them, you can build decks, you can play them. I remember we were like, at the time we were playing on the ground at the school. Like cards were not
Yeah.
protectors or anything, which if I look into now, it's like, oh my god, that was, how could we do that? It's just yeah, that's how you get into it, and that's how you can. And I feel like Magic has always been this thing, even if I was not collecting, not playing, still I was kind of like following what was going on. I think with access to the web as we do have today
You
for
had
the
your
last
ear
couple of
open
years,
for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're just there for it. Like it will find you sooner or later. And yeah, I think it always kind of boiled down if at that time I had like a group that I could play with.
Mm.
But I just started just going to the local like LGSs or local game stores as they call them,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of check out the scene there. And I went, just remember once, and I saw like there was this group playing like modern MTG. I was like, wow, modern seems like an interesting format. So I'm like, oh, I need to get into this game once again. So what I'll do is I'll just I'll start building something from like a base deck. So I got a base deck, and then starting building my collection, which is what I said in the beginning, is just huge right now. And I have a couple decks that when I knew I had a little bit of more money that I could spend on
Mm-hmm.
this, I would probably invest in some of the Magic cards. And some of
Have
them
you
are.
ever done
Hmm?
tournaments? Sorry, I wanted to ask you.
I've
As you're
done like
saying all this.
local tournaments and stuff like that, but never really got to a spot where I was like super competitive. Like I remember like top 8ing something or something like that. So
Oh, you too? Yeah, me
yeah,
too. I top
yeah,
aided something
yeah,
once. Yeah,
yeah,
it was good. Just a little
yeah,
Gwent tournament, partners tournament. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, so top aiding, and also kind of remember getting like second or third place, and then one of the like FNMs and stuff like that. So it's rewarding, it's fun, and but it kind of just gets, it kind of feeds your this desire to grow your collection and kind of get into it. I've kind of noticed that
Really?
yeah, that once you get like a top 8 or a W, you want more.
Huh. I would have thought that just like it's just always there regardless, and it's never really going to go away. But you find it, the tournament side of the things is just driving it further to like I have to.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like just going to an event and performing well is enough to get me more excited. But then when I now think about it, I still kind of enjoy Magic now, but differently. Like I don't really
Mm,
think about, spending a lot of money on, on the new modern deck or anything like that. I would much rather like get a pre-constructed commander deck and then just switch out most of the cards or stuff that I feel like doesn't work in the deck for something that would work for me, and that's kind of the way that I want to go with it.
mm. No, that's fair enough then.
But it's
Dang.
because we also have like a play group at work, so
You
it's
were
much.
saying, yeah, you guys do it all the time.
Yeah,
Is it every week? Is
every
it?
week we try to get at least one or two like sessions, because commander is like you play 4-on-4 and the games
Mm-hmm.
last, for us it lasts about like 3 hours, so it's like a 3 hour session of nonstop playing. And
Yeah.
I love this because you're playing against your colleagues who are from different departments, but we have like this one common group where we discuss MTG only.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how you kind of get into it. And recently I've been getting into, like, I tried a little bit of Flesh and Blood. I played a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Flake really got me into it, but then
I can
I
imagine.
feel like I kind of dropped out of it very soon because I was like, cards cost a lot of money there. Even for me as a Magic player, I felt like, you know,
And we come back to the money, don't we? You know, we said it at the start.
yeah,
It's just the
yeah.
cost,
I
dude.
mean, you think about it, but the one thing is for the game to be costly, and the other hand is like how much fun you're actually having win it, like in it, and what's your kind of play group at your local like game stores. And I
Mm.
know like the guys here in Warsaw that play Flesh and Blood, like they're very good. Like they're very, some of these guys are like top A's. They're like they go to worlds and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
going against them is just like, it just feels like riding a bike with training wheels versus riding against someone who is like elite, elite, or
Yeah.
even like an amateur, but that is, in the racing league or whatever, and is just doing much better job than you, and kind of feel like, me at age 35, do I really want to be on training wheels
Yeah.
and learn stuff from the beginning? Not really.
It,
So it kind
it
of
it's very
depends.
much like
Yeah.
stepping up to like Kobe or something, just at the
Yeah.
start of a
Yeah.
of a moment there, because like they're just that ridiculous, right?
Yeah. So I just feel, just depending where you go. And then, I kind of noticed that I've recently also got into the Dragon Ball Super card game.
I remember you said, yeah,
Yeah.
you
And
showed me a little bit as well.
yeah. So I started getting into that. And the fact is that, I met like a friend that I used to work with like 3 or 4 years ago,
Mm,
and they have like their own play group, but they don't play very competitively.
mm,
So I pretty much, there's like 3 or 4 of them, and I went to meet up with them. And the first thing, when we met up, like I've only known this one guy, but everybody was so nice, and they brought so many cards for me, and they shared like stuff that they had in their collection that they had multiple copies of. And they got me into it like instantly, because I stayed with them. We played a couple games, and I got really into it. But I feel it's
yeah.
just like the laid back thing about it. And now I'm, of course, like I kind of ordered some cards from Spain on Card Market, which came like this week or the previous week. I don't know. Days recently after the holidays have just been once again like merging into
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
blob and this system where you eat, sleep, work, train, repeat, and you're in the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's just I just now just want to have fun and enjoy card games. And I don't feel like I need to scratch this itch for being like a super competitive player in a card game. Like
No, that's
I don't
fair.
need it. Like I don't need
Yeah.
it. It doesn't validate me. It doesn't, make me feel better about myself. I much rather be working on card games or thinking about card games or doing card game stuff for my own kind of,
In that
leisure
lighter
and fun.
aspect kind of
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I super get that. It's
Yeah.
it's just it's where you want to
Yeah.
be with a game at
Yeah.
that point. Like, I don't think I want to. It's the last season of Gwent, for example. No, I'm not trying to
It's
suddenly go
tough.
neck and neck with Paja or be the next Cat Kerp Olkior or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just about enjoying it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you suddenly come into a situation like that, it's just like, what do I want to do with it? And that Dragon Ball one sounded more enjoyable to me.
Yeah.
And there's nothing bad against the competitive. It's just like where you are in your life and what you want from
Yeah.
that. I could definitely see, like, if I for you, I'd imagine as well, if you were like, a couple of years younger on that front and you were just like learning out, and then they said, hey, this is Flesh and Blood, and you had it was completely new to you. Maybe if it was your first card game, you'd be like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how
Yeah.
intimidating it is, kind
Yeah.
of thing. But you've been the gauntlet. You've done it. You sort of, you're collecting with all the magic and stuff. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, I get that. I'm
Yeah.
there.
It's much easier to be in something when you already have the collection. It's much harder when
Well,
when
yeah.
you don't. But yeah,
Hmm.
I'm happy that you also mentioned Gwent. The thing I have with Gwent is that, I've been working on this project for so many years. Like,
Hmm.
knowing this is pretty much the last year of me,
I want to talk about that. Yeah.
hands on the project is very bittersweet. It's like, on the one hand, I really want to, be all in and be, excited about this last year. On the other hand, I still have this feeling that is very like, damn it,
You don't want to let go.
yeah, maybe we could have done stuff differently, or
Having all those thoughts.
yeah,
Yeah.
you think about it like, oh, maybe this this is where we kind of misstepped, or this is where we made our first mistake, this is where, the cookies started crumbling, or whatever. It's always will be like dear and close to me, because that's where I've learned a lot, and I learned about a lot about card games from just the perspective of working behind the scenes and working on the development side, and also,
You turn card games into your job.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, pretty much. And which I know a lot of teachers that I had throughout the years would not believe.
Hmm.
I am still in awe how, my parents, they've always been super supportive and always been, awesome to me. They're like, it's incredible that you turned this like passion into something that um that you like and that has kind of been with you. But they're
Mm.
also kind of like in disbelief that this is possible, because they've my parents always like government jobs and stuff like that, and kind of,
Yeah.
life changed a lot since we were growing up and stuff like that. So I mean, I would not have it any other way, but I kind of, I kind of will miss like the hell out of Gwent, and
Yeah. Of course. Of
but I will be
course.
always watching. And that's also
Well.
when we were discussing like the future of the game. I was like, let's give it in the hands of the community, because we there were some ideas that we were thinking about of doing things maybe a little bit different. But
Mm.
I was like, yeah, I mean, what I've seen in card games is like, even if they go the way of the dodo and there's like limited, or even when a company just says that they're dropping it, like, zero support, servers down, shut down, see ya. Like,
Hmm.
still, community in some sense tends to pick up the game, and especially for physical cards like Android Netrunner, like the old Warhammer, like Death Trooper, like all these old card games, like they still live. They have a following on Reddit, and people just, they reached out to the companies and they kind of say like, oh, even Star Wars, the CCG that Flake plays,
Mm.
it's one of those where people will be, making their own cards and trying to keep the whole thing going. So I mean, sucks, but
No matter what,
Yeah.
people always find a way to keep things alive. It
Yeah.
doesn't even matter if it's
Yeah.
like we're talking card games, but old video games, people, they'll
I love
run
that.
at local conventions, they'll run tournaments for, speed running tournaments for things from like the SNES era,
Yeah.
the old PC games like fucking Go ZX Spectrum. Like it doesn't matter. If something existed, there's a group of people who love it,
And
and
I
they're
love
always going
that.
to
And
manage to keep it alive.
that kind of shows you what we can do if we're passionate about stuff. Like we can keep stuff going like all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking about Gwent and your experience with it and everything, it's I mean, there's no way we can have this episode and not talk about that a little bit. And I think I speak for a lot of people in the community that can say, you've done a lot for this. So I know you've got those bittersweet feelings, but like, dude, you did what you could, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
we're thankful for it in general. But how is it right now for you? Like, I want to talk about like the present moment, I guess, because I'm kind
Mm-hmm.
of curious. I want to pick your brain. Because I feel like there's like a strange air of like positivity here, negativity here, like it's sort of like a ebb and flow at the moment. You've got
Yeah.
some people leaving the game, dramatic fashion kind of stuff, and you've got people who are right now as well saying, I'm here, I'm going down with the ship.
Yeah.
Like how is the present, sort of like what's the plan there? What can you do there? How do you feel about all that? If you can sort of give me some insight into that, because I'm really freaking curious about that.
And for me, like seeing it is kind like even I think yesterday, I was posting to like Ryan and Vlad like that there was a final episode of the Great Dandelion Show, which we kind of
Yep,
known was just like the best when it comes to like all the
the
misplays and
best.
kind of best clips from streamers, like all the shits and giggles that kind of happen within Gwent were there. And like I admired that. And then previously before that we had Spyro, who maybe like we weren't very like eye to eye. He was very critical of the game, like we never collaborated very closely and stuff like that, but he was kind of part of this community. And he had a great following, a lot of people watching him. and
Mm-hmm.
and and you see these people go and you're kind of like, man, they have done so much good stuff for this game, or they help us with like promoting it amongst people, like great. They just made the community like better in their own
Yeah,
way. And they just worked and did a lot of cool stuff for the game. So
it was
we
their lives for a lot of
yeah,
that time.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's why we also wanted to be very open when it comes to like the future of the game and what we plan, just to give people the possibility to do other things. Because if you're a streamer, content creator, and you don't want to be in a place where people are not viewing your stuff, and we're aware that once we kind of give the game into the hands of the community, that the number of people that are sticking around the game will be smaller than the one that we had before this announcement. Like, we're fully aware, but we also want people who make a living out of content creation to have the possibility to go to that and actually do that, also in different titles and stuff like that. And
Yeah, of
I'm very
course.
happy to see people, from people that we know, like Thea, Lionheart, and to name a few, who are just there saying like, okay, we will stay with Gwent, like Zubidoo,
Hmm.
Shinmiri, and guys like that, saying like, we'll stay with the game for as long as possible. We'll give it a proper send off. Because I feel like they're in the same like headspace that I am, that I've been with this game for so many years. Like it's built me to who I am today. It's like it gave me a lot of opportunities. I've met a lot of awesome people through it.
Mm.
So let's give it a proper send off, and then let's think about like other variety stuff that we can be doing, which is totally fine. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I have
Everyone's
nothing
looking at.
against people like playing Marvel Snap, for example, which is the new big thing, or playing anything else, because I mean, just enjoy yourself, right?
We're all enjoying Snap, I feel, at the moment. A lot of us, anyway. I know there's a lot of people who are anti-Snap and stuff like that. The new thing. A lot of people are. I just want to quell something and forgive my dog. A lot of people. She's seen somebody outside.
Oh my god,
Um,
I can imagine this, but mine doesn't bark because it's a French bulldog.
is barking because actually my wife is home. So I'll ask you a question, and I've got to jump real quick. Um, would I'm giggling now because it's just too funny.
Yeah.
Um, what I wanted to ask you was, with everything that sort of happened with Snap and everything, can you just quell just real quick that Snap's killed the Gwent for some reason?
No,
There's a
no.
lot of stupid people that are saying that. Talk about that. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot have this thing that, one card game makes, another card game unimportant or obsolete, or is the nail in the coffin that needed to come and happen and stuff like that. I feel like Gwent and Snap will always be kind of two different beasts. Like, these are two different games. And I mean, there's Magic and Magic Arena. When Magic Arena came out, like, it was supposed to be the death of other card games. Hearthstone has always been there, alive and kicking. Of course, there are card games like Artifact, which were supposed to, have this grandeur and stuff like that. And I mean, it's there, but there are stuff like, I don't know, other card games that kind of went the way of the dodo before that, and which were also supposed to be this grand cool thing. But I feel like one card doesn't exclude the other. And
Yeah.
I've seen for myself, like, I'm very keen into trying out new card games.
They all work in echelon with each other. I think it's really stupid to say that one killed the other kind of thing,
Yeah, and I feel like Snap never didn't come out,
it wasn't on the
for us
radar
to
at the
go
point.
on our throat. I just feel like Ben Brode was working in Blizzard and wanted to start his own thing, and you see a lot of ex Blizzard devs moving on to Second Dinner and trying to create their own thing. And kudos to them for having the courage and bravery to go out on a market that we feel is maybe not in its not in its best shape, I would say, because I feel like there were times where card games were very, like, on the up and up, and I feel like maybe they're not right now. And they're still making it. They're still doing cool stuff, but some of them are kind of just not there. So
I mean, I think it's a hard thing for a card game to survive in a digital sense at the moment. I think physical card games, from what I understand, this is where I think, you're going to be able to help me out here. But like, from an outside perspective, from what I can see, physical card games are able to live a lot better actually because of how expensive they can be.
Yes.
And things like that. That's what helps, the companies are able to say, oh, these dudes are just like throwing money at us. And it's exactly all of those, all of the product, and with digital sense, it's I don't know how much you can talk about this per se, but it's all about what sells through that store, through an always online kind of life cycle. This is why people like to hark on at the moment on Snap and how much this bundle costs, how much that bundle costs. People are buying it. Simple as.
Yeah,
and that's the thing.
Some of the, like, people are buying it, but I would love for companies to be fair.
Yep, absolutely.
When it comes to monetization, and that's a hard.
That's what you guys always lived your life as, though, and we talked about it.
We've always
a little bit.
always being fair to players, and I feel to our detriment.
That's what we said it last time, that you were a little too giving, and that might have been sort of the thing there.
It's hard to find the fine line, and I feel like what I see is, like, whenever I get into a card game, what I see is players very quickly figure out what way is the best way to play the game and progress the game in order to get the things that they want, the things that they need, without spending shit ton of money on it. Because it's very easy to go and spend your hard-earned money on stuff, but in the end of the day, you need to ask yourself, is it worth it to buy some digital stuff in a game that you don't know if it has, like, if it will be here in the next I don't know, couple years, or like is it worth it? Should I be investing my money into this? Maybe I should be investing into, I don't know, like, upgrading my apartment, or I don't know, like buying
Our forefathers
furniture.
who built houses and had to, live off the land and everything. If they
Yeah.
knew what we were using money for
Yeah. Yeah.
nowadays,
Yeah, yeah, and
it's
then and I mean, spending into digital stuff like card games. It's you're kind of spending like I understand the fact that you're spending money to support a company and a developer that you love, and like
yeah,
I wouldn't be able to, I don't know, put bread in my home if it wasn't the fact of people actually buying CDPR games and stuff like that. And I am fully aware of that, and I'm grateful that we have this following and that people spend a lot of money on our stuff. But what we always try to do is always we try to be fair towards gamers, and I feel like it is such an important thing in a world where we're always very driven to like buy, sell, like full on capitalism. That's what we're
yeah,
here
yep.
for. Ooh, let's go. Like even if something that people don't need, we're trying to push as something that they need and they'll buy it. Like I don't
Has
know.
there ever been a thing in a card game, that you've seen, digital or otherwise, where you've gone, how the can they get away with that?
Yeah, Magic
Like,
recently for the 30 years anniversary had this thing that was very like the community was very vocal about, is they were doing reprints of very important cards that were out through Magic history, including the fabled Black Lotus, which is the most expensive card,
I've
and
heard
and and
Rashid
and,
even talk
and
about
all of
that.
them,
Yeah.
yeah, and they made a special type of pack which got sold out very quickly, of reprints of these staples. And what happened was that they charged like $900 for this, which was like, and these cards are not tournament legals. That means you cannot play them in eternal formats, which was like, so you're pretty much playing 900
Non
bucks for for something that you can't really use. You can have it as a collector's thing, and that's pretty much
Nani the
it.
fuck, dude.
But still people will buy that because it will have collector's value, because it was for the
Yeah.
30th anniversary. It is a special product. But players were like, well, this is not what we want. This is not anything that we can use. And
It
yeah,
that yeah, like it's a little. I think it's harder with a card game. Like I'm
yeah.
thinking about it right now because the moment you said price tag, like 900 blew my mind for a card game.
You can get a
I'm not.
decent deck in
Yeah,
modern Magic for that amount of money. And that's like a competitive deck that you can take to a tournament and you can actually like win stuff.
but
Yeah.
I mean, I told you before, robots, etc. I mean, I have contemplated in the past. I haven't done it yet, but
Mm-hmm.
there are things from my walk of life for fandoms that I enjoy where I'm like, oh, they're selling this, recreated version of the Power Rangers Megazord, and it's got, stupid
Ooh.
die-cast metal, and it's this tall, and so that thing could go for like $250.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have any bearing in a card game sense. And of course you buy it because it's a collectible. I get that collectible idea. But with a card game, because it's like that usability of it all and the player
Yeah.
to player kind of thing, that's where like 900 just makes me think like you could just do so much more with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah, but
really
on the
gets
other
me.
hand, you want to spend that money towards your passion, and I kind of like done these big buys, but I did them in a way where I would buy something and just
Hmm.
keep it, and keep it kind of on ice. And I bought, like I was showing those commander decks. I bought a couple years ago, like 2016, 17, some really good like commander decks, which I knew were gonna stay in the meta, and they were like one of the first like sealed products that they did for them. And
Yeah.
recently, when I was getting into Flesh and Blood, I wanted to buy some of the staples like Spring Tunic and other stuff like that, which like one card costs like right now, I don't know, 170 euro, let's say, for one card, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to sell those, and they went up in price like crazy. I remember, I don't know, I spent like 40-50 dollars for them and sold them for like 300-400. So they made their they made me money in that
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Obviously. Yeah. Damn.
So I kind of took that money and kind of invested it back into card games, which is also not the best way that you can spend that money. So you kind
Yeah.
of, I mean, with age, you kind of feel like, okay, I could be spending my money on other stuff. On the other hand, let's just maybe try to dedicate like a budget monthly on which I can
Yeah.
direct toward card games and have that budget done in a sense where it doesn't, doesn't f up my like normal private life and kind of
Why can't I
spending on
eat
other
today?
stuff. Yeah,
Oh, it's just the cards on the table.
yeah. I can probably eat this cardboard.
That's the thing. I think that's always like because I've said it before, but like I've put some money into some of my own collectibles. So card game wise though, yeah, it's just it can really ruin the bank sometimes if you're not careful, and that's the same with anything. So just sort of, my own experience with that, I mean, it's all adolescent. I can't even imagine it as an adult with card games. Like for me growing up, I'll talk a little bit more about my history a little bit there with card games as it were. For me, it was all the multimedia for card games. That was it for my life. I never got into physical. And as a kid, it was just the consumption of the shows that they put out, the things that they would advertise for these things. I was always watching the Yu-Gi-Ohs and the to a lesser detriment, a similar degree, the Beyblades, etc. But card games specifically, it was literally just multimedia. I had like the shirts. I went to the movie, the Yu-Gi-Oh movie. I got the damn CD from the Yu-Gi-Oh film. Like it was me pestering my old man and everything. I mean, that was it though. Like where you're like in that physical realm and you're in the game shop and stuff. For me, I love obsessing over like whatever like they have out there for me to consume. When it comes to that sort of thing, like my experience with Dungeons and Dragons will more or less be like the movies and the old cartoon show, the new movie with Chris Pine or whatever is coming out and stuff like that's how I tend to enjoy that stuff. And does that make me a fake enjoyer of them? Some people like to gatekeep that.
Yeah, that's always the thing that you get. I was just gonna say that like I feel like with some stuff you cannot be one foot in, like need to be all in on the new, right? Like you need to be like, you should be spending big money, you should be going to tournaments, and like there's a lot of people that just buy stuff for
you weren't there for this meta, man. You don't know this.
You weren't, like, that's the worst thing you can tell someone, like you weren't there. We're like, what a Magic player will now say, like, you're worse because you didn't play the game in 1993 when it came out. No. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like if you're having fun, if you're enjoying it, if you're learning from this, then why not, enjoy it in a way that you feel is just right for you. Like you don't need to be spending all that money and going crazy about the cards. You can just sit down and, play on the kitchen table with friends, hopefully in sleeves, of course.
With sleeves this time, not on the ground as a child. No,
I still shame people who don't play with sleeves. Like we sometimes do drafts also. And we sometimes like get fresh faces. Like want to try draft, and draft is where you play where you just open boosters and you draft a deck from the stuff that you opened.
That sounds fun.
Don't know. And some people just want to play like without,
they don't have the full kit, nothing's all prepared. They just came and they're like, I've got this.
And then on the other hand, you see me, like, nice play mat, cards sleeved. If it's like a constructed deck, double sleeved. I'm very anal about that.
Yeah.
And then
you got the full works, man.
Yeah, and then like a dice bag with all dice and stuff like that. Like everything, gotta keep everything.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
As well. That's the thing, is like we were talking
I only
about,
hate for not sleeving cards because the cards get damaged. Not that you're supposed to be pro and have sleeves.
Why do you have all this stuff? Nah, but like I think one basic for card games, like as a universal anyway, physical card games is that TLC of what you own.
Yeah.
Kind of like when I was a kid, we had the same thing. We had binders and sleeves and stuff for.
Binders.
I loved having. I had a Yu-Gi-Oh binder when I was a kid, man. Like that was the my favorite thing to have. I would just
Dude,
collect cards AF.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like going into card game store and checking out single cards that were sold in the binder and going through the
Mm.
binders is like the best
Yeah.
thing in
Yeah.
physical card
Yeah.
games. Like going
Yeah.
through like a collection and seeing stuff that is it's just eye candy. It's so cool. And I feel like it's kind of come from my childhood. I also like collecting stuff when it was even I remember we used to have like bubble gum that you would buy, and in the bubble gum you could collect like there were cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you would collect those. Or I remember I used to collect like these small Dragon Ball cards that were sold in small bags of chips in here, and I would have like I would find like a special because they were very like small cards. They were like this small like little ones. I got a specific binder that would work for them
Mm.
that I think was for like business cards or something like that. So it was just perfect for those cards. So I would keep them in that and have like a whole collection. And if a friend or someone at school had like got a bag of chips that wasn't collecting the stuff, they would just like ship it to me, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
Even right now, like my colleagues at CDPR that I work with that used to play Magic back in the day, like they sometimes bring me some of their like old collection stuff and just give it to me. And maybe there's
Aw.
no there are no bombs there, but just seeing like the old school cards that I knew as a kid and kind of going through that memory lane once again, it's like, man, that's the
I was
stuff.
gonna say that's got to
So
be a
cool.
really good feeling kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm.
Yeah.
I had growing up. I had the Yu-Gi-Oh binder stuff. I did all that stuff, but that feeling, the thing I can sort of compare it to on my end is, and I don't know how many people did this, but I feel like it was prevalent because a lot of people in my
Yeah.
area growing up did it. But game binding, where you had all your CDs for your games in a big old binder. And I know
Mm-hmm.
people like to swear by the box art and stuff. And yes, you can save the boxes, but I don't know, man. Like growing up, there was just something nice about some kid coming in. He's like, "Yo, I've got all these video games," and he just pulls out the binder, and there's like Legacy of Kane, and
Yeah.
this, that, and everything, just all
Yeah.
up in there. And you're flipping each page, and I'm gonna look. It's like, "Oh yeah, we should play this weekend or something."
Yeah.
And like that's sort of that vice versa thing with the cards, I feel.
You reminded me of those funny little binders that were for CDs. They
Mm-hmm.
kind of, I kind of remember that. I thought, like I remember I had like I would have a couple of those because I would keep like my music CDs that I
Yeah,
would have kind of in the car.
yeah.
So you kind of can just pull them out and kind of switch between the CDs and then have like this. But people would go through these and they were like, "Oh, you like this, you like that." It's kind of like
Yeah.
now like you can show them on Spotify what you enjoy. But
This is my playlist
yeah,
kind of.
yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't have the same feeling though. Like
It
absolutely not.
doesn't. It doesn't.
Because you know that like when you send and I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but when you send somebody a Spotify playlist, they skim through it. It's not the same as having a homie in your car and and they'll go through your binder and like, "Yo, you like this band, you like that band, oh, I see some Sublime in here," that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
that's that feeling. um I'm trying to think more about my history on card games because like my childhood was just multimedia. Game wise, I told you it was digital. A lot of it,
Mm-hmm.
it's all the digital card game
Yeah.
landscape for me, and I've tried everything under the sun. A lot of the times, if it was available, on PlayStation, Xbox, or
Yeah.
PC, I would download it. I'd give it a fair shake. I'm literally my buddy Smith of Lies is going to get me into this series called, I don't know if you know it, but it's they've got on Steam. I think it's early access, and they're only improving it day by day. Infinity Wars. I don't know if you've heard of that before.
Sounds like something of Avengers related.
It's not Avengers or related. It's a cool card game series. I know jack about it, but this dude he's one of my favorite people. He's my Witcher lore master. He's very into all of his lore, super geeky,
Yeah.
really informative, awesome dude. And he
Nice.
swears by this card game, so I'm going to be giving that a shot soon. I tried Runeterra. I think I
That's
like
the
that
one I
game.
didn't try, to be honest. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of these. I wanted to go into topic to topic on the more because we talked about Snap, and
Yeah.
obviously, we're sitting on the toilet, we're enjoying Snap. Day by day, it's there.
Still
Yeah,
playing
still playing, still
today.
playing.
Still new season. Still, trying
Eh,
to rank up a little bit. But I'm not one of those players that, yo, let's go infinity. I'm like, no, no, no.
Anybody need all that.
Ain't nobody
But
got time for that.
ain't nobody got time for that, good sir. But what I want to ask is, you just said you've never played Runeterra, really?
No,
You've never
no,
touched it.
no. Dude, I
Why
even
is that?
played Hearthstone. I haven't played Runeterra. I don't know.
What?
It's when it came out, I was so in my Gwen space that I didn't want to go anywhere else. I feel like once I
Mm,
have 2 to 3 card games that I'm enjoying at a given time, I will not move to
mm,
anything else. I will not try anything else. And I feel like I
yeah.
was so into Gwent when that happened that I was like, I don't have time for this. Like I don't really like. I have Magic. I have Gwent. I'm set. I don't need anything else. Right.
Yeah.
Same as right now. I'm kind of playing less Gwent, but I'm like playing more Snap. But I'm also playing Dragon Ball, and I'm also playing Magic, and I'm kind of
You
in
still have that
between.
core.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Do you,
I think it's just shifting focus a little bit from one to the other, and then
mm,
going back to one of the others, and then putting your focus there is what kind of keeps it also healthy, like having this variety. Like since we're a little bit talking about Snap, like it was something that we also discussed, like amongst just you and me talking.
mm.
It's a great game, it's a fun game, but it lacks, I feel like, the big depth that you have from other card games. Like when I play Magic, when I play Commander, or when I play any other format, is like just the sheer amount of possibilities and decks
Yeah.
and synergies that you have there. It's just it's too much to wrap your head around it. And I feel like with Snap, most of the decks that you see there and the meta is kind of more or less solved. I don't feel like there's something new coming in. Maybe something is super prevalent, like they had Leader going crazy in the last meta,
Mm-hmm.
and then they issued a lot of like nerfs for all that stuff, and people started making content and decks for counter meta, more control heavy and stuff like that. And I kind of started enjoying the control decks a little bit more than kind of the point slammy Patriot decks that I started
Yeah.
playing in the beginning. But it's just it's fun, but I feel like it's not as deep and complicated as
Well, we said it
with
before.
Magic. Yeah.
We said it to each other before, but I feel like the time detriment, there's a time detriment with Snap where, yes, it's great to enjoy it in these short bursts of time. You can have these 2-3 minute matches or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that process makes the playing angle become incredibly like stale quite quickly, or at least you can't do it in long bursts,
I
sort of
mean, you
thing.
can
This,
find freshness by just changing decks, changing stuff,
yeah,
and
but
waiting
like
each
you can
month
go
for
through it all
a
so
new
quick.
meta, right?
That, yeah, but like you speed through it, I feel.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I kind
Like
of
I
do.
I can, if you, I have like full collection level in Snap, and I feel like if I was to stream it, like Speci or something like that, how they've been doing these 13-14 hour runs, I could probably go through all the decks within the week, and then I would feel bored by it. At least that's how I felt, is like I'll jam
Yeah.
it for an hour and I'll be like, I love it. I do love it, but I don't
Yeah.
want to keep doing this over
Yeah.
and over. Like I just, the cycle feels so repeated. Whereas with like Gwent, and we talked about,
Hmm.
Snap not being as fleshed out, etc. Gwent really is that level of full package where it's
Yeah.
just got all that. There's so much there, so much
But we've been longer
content.
on the market. Like if you look at our
Yeah.
our early beginnings, were very simplified. Although a lot of people say that they enjoy that time of Gwent because they kind of want the Witcher 3 experience. But I feel like that's just about their preferences and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like it's too early to judge. I'm here
Mm,
kind of for seeing like what's gonna happen to the game and what the future holds for it. But yeah, I mean that's one new exciting thing. And the other thing is, have you heard about Lorcana?
is that the Disney thing, right?
Yes, that's the new Disney CCG that they're making, which
Yeah.
is also supposed to be physical. I'm
Mm,
super excited for that one because they recently tweeted that they're about to share some exciting stuff very very soon. So
mm.
there were events where they were giving out promos of some of the cars, and you could see some of the cars like a special version of Mickey Mouse and stuff like that. I feel
Yeah.
like this has a lot of potential because
I mean,
it's backed by Disney.
backed by Disney, it's got that big brand,
Yeah,
For me, it's just, if we're talking potential from like staying alive
yeah,
instantly, um, the branding serves it well with, I mean, I'm going to use you as an example here, but I imagine you've probably thought to yourself, oh, this might be good to play with my kid, kind of
That
thing.
was my first thought. I was just gonna
Yeah.
say this right now. Like, I know this will be a game that I will enjoy with my daughter
And
because she
that's the
grew up
money.
on Disney films. Like,
Yep.
and we all watch Disney films, so
Yep.
it's perfect.
There's the money.
Yeah.
There's the longevity, there's the sustain right
Dude,
there.
and the universe there is incredible. Like, starting from like Mickey Mouse and going into like they can do whatever they want. Like anything. They can do anything. But on the other hand, yeah, we need to see kind of which way they will go with the game and what the idea there for it is.
I gotta
Because
ask. I gotta ask. I'm sorry. I want to ask you.
yeah,
I have to ask. What's your like favorite Disney film? Just talking about it right now.
huh?
I, I like to learn your
Jesus,
favorites, man. Uh,
Jesus,
I know, loaded question. I
favorite
know.
one.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. You grow up with so many of these, and Jesus, what's my favorite one? I also watch so many like new ones with my daughter that I enjoy. I feel like the new ones also like bring a lot of something
The new ones
interesting
are nice
to
and
the
stuff.
table. Like from the old school ones, hmm. I've always was like a Beauty and the Beast enjoyer. I know
Yeah, yeah.
that's a weird one.
That's a good one.
I always kind of root for the kind of anti-hero or the guy that has everything
I'm,
effed up.
I mean, Beauty and the Beast has the best character.
Yeah.
Gaston.
Yeah.
No one's great like Gaston.
True that. True
You
that.
know. I mean, I'm a Treasure Planet guy
Yeah.
myself. I like Treasure
Oh.
Planet a lot. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And just something I had on VHS when I was a kid, and just it
Yeah.
stuck with me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm not
that's a
surprised.
big
That's
one.
also a good one.
It's a good one.
You can't really go
Underrated.
wrong with Disney stuff. Like you can't go wrong. Or maybe if it's like I don't know Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, and stuff like that. Kind of like.
I mean, it's got its place, kind
Yeah,
of
it's
thing.
a place. But I've never was
So,
into the Disney princesses and stuff like that. I kind of the ones that kind of
mm,
break the mold, let's say, were the more interesting ones. Although I've always been into marine life, so I always liked
Atlantis, was
yeah,
that
kind of
Disney?
Atlantis
I think it was
wasn't
Disney. Was
the
it
one that
Disney?
I got into so much. I think it was Disney, but
I think it
Little
was.
Mermaid even was cool. Like
Yeah,
the characters were there very like fleshed out, and there was like the story, this the sacrifice, this kind of like I like when there's some depth to the story. So
and like we said, we just talked about a few films, easy peasy like that. Everybody's
yeah,
got those stories and those talks. So
yeah,
coming back to, was it Lorcana? You said it was.
yes,
Yeah, coming back to Lorcana, just that's just such an easy recipe to
yeah,
just get everybody involved. From collectors to
yeah,
families
yeah.
to just easy peasy right there, man.
They already started with the collectability aspect of it, of having like special promos and special events for limited, amounts of people. Like for sure, they'll be building like a very crazy economy for these cards and
Mm.
stuff like that. And and
Is
there's
it
always
all
high demand
physical?
for that. It's apparently to be start off as physical, but I feel like in today's day and age, physical is kind of your first step unless you're flesh and blood and you're very like, we want this to be played in flesh and blood, nothing
Mm.
else.
Yeah,
But I feel like for other card games is like, physical, but then we might try to have like a digital client in which you can, what I always wanted? I wanted for a company to come in and say like, we'll do physical, but you can one-to-one import your collection to digital. So you don't have to pay
oh,
twice. That is something
that
that
would be cool.
that's kind of like my number one CCG wet dream for that to actually happen. Like a company
You'd
to
have to
say, we're
have like,
ballsy enough,
yeah.
but you buy our products if you want to play them online with friends. You should, get the physical ones and you can scan them in. But if you want to
They did that
play,
with toys a lot,
if you want to
So
play digital, you go the digital route. So when you launch
yeah,
the game, you're like, you choose, you want to go this way or that way. But it's either this or that. So I would totally be, because I hate like double paying for stuff. I would
yep.
love to play like MTG Arena, but also have the cards that I have in real life. So
If you did, you'd just be set. Just easy peasy
it
lemon
depends which
squeezy on that
format.
one.
Like they don't have
Yeah.
modern there, like you need to play like Magic Online and stuff like that. But for
Mm.
Magic Online, for sure, since like it's old school client, I would have the possibility for you to, like transfer your collection there. So yeah.
I don't. I mean that methodology makes sense to me only because this sort of physical collector's scan on. You have like Nintendo's Amiibo stuff, and I remember when I was younger there were toys that kind of you did that same thing as it was attached to card games and you could scan this stuff and it would work with whatever website they were running off of, and that would sort of go through. But I think the catalyst, I think we both know it is just the money. If people are going to pay twice, you have them pay twice kind of
Yeah,
thing. But God, that would be the coolest thing in the world, man. To be able to
yeah,
just say, "Oh, I went to the shop and this is going to carry over," like a cross save kind of thing,
yeah.
where this is just what we got. Um, I love that so much. Damn, I wish that existed in something right now.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, Lorcana sounds exciting. I keep coming back to Rashid, and we're gonna have to get him on here at some point. But like,
yeah.
he's so obsessed about all this stuff, like all the stuff you've mentioned before. He's talked about very heavily about, and I know a
Hmm.
lot of people who also talk about it as well. But just one thing I wanted to say is like the I talk to a lot of people within the card game space, and it's like listening to the same person a lot of the time when you hear somebody who's just passionate about it,
Hmm.
because like very much of what you say is what I've heard from so many people, and it's just a joy to listen to.
Hmm.
Like everyone's got that different history and stuff, but you guys all align on just like
Yeah,
I came into the games workshop or whatever it is. I made some friends. We chilled, and we
yeah,
just had all these nice sessions. Between us, we have a group that meets up every week or whatever it is. Like we just fucking love it in and out.
yeah,
And that's sort of the coolest thing. It's why I stream, because
yeah.
you get to meet up with all
Yeah,
those types of people.
like also now having the digital space of discords and having the possibility of even having like Facebook groups or whatever, having your friends on Messenger and stuff like that, which are like players that play that you met through your local game store. Like I still even have this thing that I go to my local game store from time to time to play modern, even if I haven't played for like a year or two. I will go there
Mm,
and I will meet the same dudes that I played with in the last 2 or 3 years that I even wasn't there. They're still there. They're like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? Like, what are you playing
yeah,
right now? Is like, oh, by the way, how's your kid or whatever. Like you make these friendships and they kind of stay forever. So that's also really awesome. And the community aspect of card games is always kind of going to be the number one thing.
mm.
Yeah.
That's that. I mean, community overall, but card games in particular. I've peeked my head into these games workshops. I've gone in before for with friends who are into Warhammer, and just you see like the same people. When I lived in Sheffield, I would go into a games workshop a lot with my friends, and I would always see the same group of people, and they just seem like the closest tight knit group of friends, and that's the magic. That's
Yeah.
really the magic right there, for sure. I'm just trying to think of. You got anything for me on my side that I
Was there
haven't
ever
answered yet?
like, since you tried all the card games apart from Gwent, was there any one of these that kind of drew you in and kind of you
Oh,
were like, oh, I could totally stay with this one.
um, I'm gonna not say Snap because I feel like Snap's the
Yeah.
easy answer. I think everyone. I'll say one thing about Snap is that like Snap was universally like, I don't know about this game. Everybody before closed beta or open
Yeah.
beta rather or whatever, everyone was like, this looks like kiddie game. Gwent number one. Ain't nobody care about this crap,
Yeah.
etc. Everybody gets their hands on it and people are playing it like wildfire.
Yeah.
I knew like I played the closed beta and I knew like playing it, I was like, oh, people just need to get their hands on this.
Yeah.
And the moment they do, they'll be like, oh yeah, okay, I fuck with this. This is good.
Yeah.
Um, but without the the snap formula, anything else that I've tried, I did get pretty heavy into Runeterra for a bit. I had like a few month process of Runeterra that I really enjoyed. Um, but it was still just that feeling of like, oh, I don't know if I can do this all over again. I don't know if I can do that journey to get everything all over again.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
also the problem when getting into a card game. Like starting from scratch is hard.
or starting back from a break. Like I've gone back into Hearthstone a few times,
Hmm.
and I have my memories of Hearthstone. I played when it launched. I loved it. I played it for like a year or two or whatever it was, and I fucked with that game a lot.
Hmm.
But then I think like a lot of us did. I think we did other things, and then when you try and revisit it,
Mm-hmm.
the ecosystem has grown that much
Mm-hmm.
where you're like, I feel like a fish out of water with this. I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm doing. And that's where I feel with Hearthstone, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't know if I can like completely go back into all this again. I want
Yeah.
to. I
Yeah.
love everything about it. I love my memories from it, but fuck.
Yeah.
Um, with with the card games I have tried, I would definitely say Runeterra was the one where, because I also like the Riot Games, League of Legends stuff, like that universe. I do very much enjoy it. I'm an avid player of League of
Mm-hmm.
Legends myself.
Ooh, I played a
And
lot of League on my time. Yeah.
wait, do you actually?
I
We did
did.
not talk
I
about this.
did. I did, but I
You
never like
did
we never talked about like yeah,
the MOBA side. I guess
the mobile
yeah,
side.
we'll have a MOBA
Yeah.
episode. But
Yeah.
speaking about it, did you mean did in a past sense, or do you still jam
Did
League in
in
your
the
spare
past
time?
sense. I the last time I played was like 4 years ago, just to check back into it. But I played it when it kind of was the thing, let's say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I played League. I never tried Dota.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Hmm.
I know I
You ever
tried it, but I didn't like the visuals for it. I
you ever
liked League
give
more.
Heroes of the Storm a shot
No,
at all?
no.
That one's I enjoyed that one.
I heard that was
Um,
one of the cool ones. Had like
Wasted
was
potential.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Like, was sad to see it go.
Yeah, it was good because it was like really entry level MOBA, not super complex, but still really fun. Just the only
Mm-hmm.
thing is like with a league, you can sort of be a carry. You can be the faker of a league game,
Yeah.
as it were,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
carry a
Yeah.
bad
Yeah.
team. With
Yeah.
Heroes of the Storm, it was genuinely that team centric
Mm-hmm.
that like you just couldn't be
Yeah.
disorganized.
Yeah.
No one person could shine out and carry a whole game kind of thing. Um, but no, I really like League and its universe and everything. That I eat up the cinematics. I still have Ruin King in my Steam library that I want to play. The fighting game looks great, stuff like that. And it's the one where I guess I could say I felt the most kinship to like Gwen, like you were saying, is because I love the Witcher universe, so I
Yeah.
play the Witcher games. I walked around with Monster Slayer for a bit, etc., etc.
Nice.
You know, I just you guys, you put anything out, I'll eat it up, and I say to myself,
I
I hope I
respect that.
enjoy this because I will ride or die with it, kind of thing, if I
Yeah.
can. And Gwent was that for me.
Yeah.
Was I found it, I played it, I love the fuck out of it. I met the community from it, and I just sort of said, you know what, this is something very close to my heart, and I'll
Yeah.
support the hell out of it.
Nice.
Um, and the only thing that kept me from Runeterra for that was just like, my God, there's such a like, I had to work like I
Nice.
think a a month for like a deck I was kind of happy with that like I felt was good. But I knew once I did this, I was not gonna like after a month or 2 months, I would be in a position where I was like, well, this deck is obsolete. I have to work for a completely another one that's gonna be just as expensive. I'll be all over the
Yeah.
place. You know, and it's not bad if it's your first experience with that. I feel,
Mm-hmm.
if you're doing the gauntlet and you're good
Yeah.
with it, yeah, it's cool. But for me, I did that with Gwent. I had my years of Gwent, and like that just became my card game. That was easy enough for me to stick with,
Yeah.
and love, and say, this is my card
And
game.
Gwent is not easy to stick with because, as you know, the game has been going through a lot of
Hmm.
changes. Like, even for me, there was a time where it was very hard to catch up on what was going on within the given metas and the changes. You just didn't
Yeah.
have the time to focus on the gameplay aspect and kind of see everything change. But I loved coming back and dabbling into new metas and kind of checking out the new decks that are being played. And I feel like it's this whole experience of card games that you have where you um, start from scratch or go back to the drawing board and like define if the deck that you played doesn't make sense, then let's play something different or let's try something
Mm.
new. And trying something new in a card game is always like you have this refreshing, like this, this is new, this is fresh, this is cool, and then it kind of fades off, and then you try the next thing.
I have a question. Do you ever like going back into like a starter experience with a game like a game you already love? Like with Gwent, people can do like Smurf runs and stuff like that. Like how do you feel about like revisiting the starter experience kind of thing? Like I've done it before on
Yeah.
stream and I've like this is fun to play cards that normally don't see play. It's only
Hmm.
seeing play in this rank, that sort of stuff. Like how do you feel about that?
I love that, to be honest. I still sometimes when I'm trying to get someone into Magic, I kind of go back to like the basic decks and the starters. Or
Yeah.
I remember I think we went for like a short holiday last year, and my wife actually, she knows Magic and stuff like that, but she never like actually learned how to play the game and the basics of the game. And I got her like I just got us like battle decks, so two decks that
Hmm.
are just easy and that can go against one another, and just kind of taught her the basics very quickly. So it was fun to kind of go back to the basics of the game instead of just focusing on the higher level plays and the synergies. And then we
Yeah.
were just looking in this, man, this deck is just like built like whack, like it's like shitty cards and stuff like that. Like I could
Yeah,
optimize this.
I was gonna say, you enjoyed the simplicity of the basics for what it was. It wasn't like, okay, so here's a starter deck for you. By the way, I have years of experience. This is what I built, and you have no chance of winning whatsoever.
Yeah,
Let's
then
go.
it's not
You know?
fair.
Yeah, of
I
course.
remember when I was getting back into Magic, and I had a friend that was starting to play Magic for the first time. We started building our own decks, and then we got into this rabbit hole when we started upgrading our decks and making them
Mm,
better, up to a point where you even if you upgrade the decks, you get to a point where the player that has more experience with the game will know about some interactions and how things
yeah,
work, like the fine details, let's say, that is able just to steamroll through your other opponents. So even if you have a friend that they go on the MTG Goldfish websites or any other website where they have kind of the best number one decks and they build stuff like that, they won't be they won't know how to pilot that deck. No way.
that's why I like to play meme decks in Gwent is because I knew the game well enough. Like I'd been playing for so
Meme
long, I
decks
can
are
say.
fine in any card game. Like they're awesome to play. Like
But
they're
they only
fun.
work if you know what you're doing, I feel. If
Yes.
you know your matchups and you know the meta and like I can queue into a Nilfgaard game
Yeah.
sometimes, like with a Draco Turtle deck from
Mm-hmm.
Skellige and Draco Turtle Iris or something, and like say to myself, this is the meme I'm gonna do. And if I see like Nilfgaard, whatever, back in the day, I guess like lockdown sort of thing, I'd be like, yeah, there's no chance I'm
Yeah.
gonna get anything
Yeah.
off kind of thing. Um, so it is really a lot about of just
Mm-hmm.
knowing the game and the matchups and everything like that, just having that plethora of experience. And how do you find like did you ever have a point for yourself at least where it just suddenly clicked? Like did you ever, you just said that experience and I can kind of think of parallels. I even had it with Runeterra, I suppose. Like it wasn't just the acquisition experience of cards and stuff. It was like I was facing things and I had no idea what I was facing. And I was like, you know what? Do I want to go through all this? Do I want to learn
Mm-hmm.
everything? I was like, I don't know what this deck does. I don't know what an Aatrox deck and Sejuani, etc. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
what any of this is gonna. Do I want to learn that? Like, did you have a moment? Like, where do you feel you get with that? With like, say, Magic or something?
Magic was easy. It was just friends. But I feel like Dragon Ball is a great example. Like finding
Yeah.
out that you have a friend that already plays the game and is, a couple steps ahead of you and is able to teach you the basics is where you kind of get into it. I feel like the worst way into getting into a game is actually, but worse and also good. I don't know. It's a mixed one. It depends. Like I said, it depends on your local game store. But sometimes you just want to learn at a game store to play the game,
Mm,
and you go to an event and everybody's just like smacking you around, like you're getting your butt kicked.
mm,
And
yeah.
you will, of course, because that's kind of the learning curve in card games. That people will be nice. They'll teach you the basics, but they are coming to these tournaments or these, FNMs or whatever for a specific end goal, which is getting as many points as possible, ranking up, and trying to be numero uno. Is kind of like we all go for that.
Mm,
But it's also the best option in terms of just having a competitive scene to learn from. and also the best way to acquire cards, because a lot of these players, they have a lot of bulk cards, and they'll be more than happy to share some stuff with you or sell you stuff, even let's say like a bargain way that you can just
Mm,
have fun and enjoy. So
I like that part, by the way,
yeah,
to
I
card
like that
games.
part because it's about the community aspect of the whole thing, and it's something that I've always enjoyed in card games. Like I'm always drawn to learning about new communities. I remember same thing was with the Dragon Ball stuff. Like before I got into it, before I learned my friend was into it, I was just coming into the game store to buy like a Pokemon Academy starter for my daughter. And
Yeah.
I saw they had a tournament out that day, and I was like, "Wow, there's so many cool people there." And I looked over on the cards, and you see like Vegeta, Goku, I don't know, Pan. You see Piccolo, you see Lord Slug, and all that stuff. And you're kind of
Mm.
like androids and stuff like that. Like, oh man, I used to watch that. I used to love that. I still love that. I still watch that. I was like, well, maybe I should try the card game. Like the
Yeah.
art is cool. Like I feel like it needs to have a hook on you. Like if it's something that you played, or something that has this nostalgic effect on you, you will go towards it. Like you will.
Mm.
Like it's facts. Like you don't need to be a scientist to know that stuff. So I feel that's
Nostalgia
kind
gets
of the
you.
thing.
Simple.
Yeah, you love the characters, you love the stuff, so you will be more incentivized to get into it. I feel like that was kind of the problem for me with Flesh and Blood, to fully get into it. Like I love the mechanic, I love the card games, but I felt like the characters, since they're building something new, were just characters I did not know, and I was like, do I really want
Yeah.
to relearn this stuff? And the gameplay is different, and I also Dragon Ball gameplay is also different because the mana system in both of these is done in a different way, where you actually use your cards to power up your other cards that you want to play,
Mm.
which I feel like is cool, because you don't
It.
have this thing where you have in Magic that you get mana screwed or you get mana flooded. Like here in DBZ, it's really cool because you use the same cards. Like you can choose to play these cards, or you can use them as a source of energy that you use to play other cards, and you put them upside down as lands pretty much at the bottom.
Right.
And for Flesh and Blood, it's done in a sense where you pitch cards, so you pretty much discard cards in order to play for other cards to play them. So
Ah.
yeah, so you're pretty much going back and forth with stuff. So it's really really cool, and I like that new kind of way of playing card games, that you don't suffer on the mana system.
I think I wanted to pick on something there that you were talking about is the nostalgia, the sort of property of a card game. Some people might be somewhat upset that games like Flesh and Blood or gosh, what was the war one that exists out there? I can't remember the name of that one, but ones that aren't based off of popular franchises and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
People might say, I wish that could just survive easier.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't that just be popular? Things like franchises are born through getting things out to the public eye like that. Like for example, TV shows get made for toy lines.
Yeah.
We would never know about a lot of this stuff if people didn't say we need to market X thing. We wouldn't
Yeah.
we wouldn't have Beyblade would not be popular if not for its Beyblade anime
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff. Ninja Turtles became a property because of the toy line started from the comics, the TV show got it out to the general eyes, etc., etc. Card games like Flesh and Blood and stuff, I feel it exists for just those people who just love card games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to make a Flesh and Blood Saturday morning cartoon kind of thing.
Probably
So
not, but you never know where a company can take IP. Like once the IP kicks off, like
mm,
anything's possible. Like look at us. We have Geralt in Fortnite. I mean,
I mean, yeah, that is something I never sort of expected, and I don't think a lot of us have expected. Um, it's but it's cool. It's
yeah,
cool. It's like a you made it kind of thing.
yeah.
A lot of people are calling it like a sellout. That sort of stuff is like getting into popular stuff, and I think
I
I
know
mean
we would all
one.
want it to be gate kept, and where
Mhm,
we see it fit and where we kind of see its place
mhm.
is, but that can be the case for us, but cannot, is not the case for others. So
I mean,
if
people
someone
weren't
else can
complaining.
enjoy it and get into, like, I have the same
Yeah,
things when it comes to Witcher, and when it comes to the books, the TV show, and the games. Like whatever gets you into the universe as a first thing, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care if you played the game, I don't care if you read the book first or you watched the TV show. Anything that you did that got you into this universe and you enjoy it in the same way that I enjoy it, that just makes me happy, because there's just more
Hmm.
eyeballs on this awesome stuff, which is a labor of love of people who've been working on these projects. And I feel like it's the most important thing, right? We like it, we love it, we enjoy it. Let's keep it that way, and let's not say like, oh no,
You
you
can't
gotta
have
read the books first. I mean, OG, right?
people want to hark on stuff like that so
Yeah,
much, where it's like, the people bash the Netflix show for being what it is. And in some respects, yeah, it isn't great. I don't think a lot of us will fight that. It isn't the most lore accurate thing,
yeah,
but I don't think we account for what it also does for people who have never seen the franchise.
yeah,
You have people who got into the show and went, you know what, fuck it, I'll check out the books, and then they love the books more, kind of thing. I mean, I don't know how many kids are gonna say, "Oh, I saw Geralt in Fortnite, so I'm now playing the games," kind of thing.
you never
But
know.
you never know, you never know,
You
and
never
that's the
know.
thing. That's the thing about just getting a property. There are people who probably fucking know Geralt from Soul Calibur. You
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that
yeah.
that you just gotta do what you gotta do to
Or
get your
AFK
brand
Arena.
recognized. Yeah, AFK Arena,
Yeah,
Lost Ark,
yeah,
you guys are in as well.
yes,
Monster Hunter, you
yeah.
know,
It's really
it,
cool.
it well, that's what I love. I love seeing the properties. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm just talking about it just briefly for a second. I fucking love crossovers in general.
me
If you can
too.
do them right, like just generally, I think I mean, mobile games are such a freaking
Yeah,
plethora area of
yeah. You
crossovers,
can cross
man.
over anything there, right?
I mean, we're on our last leg, so let's go out with a bang, man. When is Gwent gonna, like, I don't know, join up with Peppa Pig or something? Let's have a
Oh
really
God,
wacky
no.
crossover.
When it comes to art style, I feel like we would have a problem with that, because our art style is like very, very protected by our artists. Like, not everything can go.
New monster
Man,
card,
but
Peppa
respect for
Pig.
Peppa Pig. She's awesome.
This is the Peppa Pig portion of the episode,
Yeah,
everybody.
I've always
We're
been
gonna
a
talk.
George fan
Oh my
with the
god, get out of here.
dinosaur roar.
Oh my god.
I also have a daughter.
Did
That's why.
I was gonna say I didn't imagine that you just like flipped on the telly and just went, I'm just
No.
gonna show and watch Peppa Pig. No, 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 no judgment. If you
Not
suddenly became,
I would have to be under the influence of something to do that.
I have a friend who's just like a fucking hardcore Shrek fan.
Okay,
I
I
like
respect that.
it, just loves all the movies. He's been to like Shrek on Ice. If you love what you love,
Yeah.
but I'm curious, and I don't know how much you can say about it, but um, do you guys ever toy around with the idea of crossovers at all? Is that anything that's ever bounced around, or you guys always been just this is our space?
We're kind of sticking to our guns.
Yeah.
Kind of doing our own thing, but it was really cool to see, like, the possibility to have like Geralt and other things. I feel like it's cool. Like we talked, it's good for, it's of course good for the brand, as you would say, but it's also good for people to have visibility for all this stuff. And I've always said this like numerous times when it comes to me and my history with Witcher. It started with the books, because I mean they're a national treasure almost here in Poland.
Yeah.
Same as when it comes to CDPR. Um,
It was given
and
to Obama when he visited, wasn't it?
yeah,
The
yeah,
game.
yeah, the game was,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And to I remember the first time I played Witcher 1 when I was 19. It was just incredible just to see the characters from the books brought to life. Like, it was just,
Mm.
it's something that you portray somehow in your head. You have an imagination of it, and then you see it come to life. It's just incredible. I think you enjoy it. It doesn't matter like which walk of life you're from. Even if I watched, I feel like the TV series, I would be still interested to check out the books and kind of compare those, to see the games and compare those, but also contrast, and then just kind of to see what I like more, what
Mm.
speaks to me.
Yeah.
What I've always loved about like CDPR and the people who work on the narrative and the story and stuff like that is that they really stick to the universe. Like, maybe we expand some stuff, but we try to be always faithful and respectful of kind of what the books brought in the beginning, which is something that I feel like we've all kind of grew up on.
Mm.
Yeah, because like I said, here in Poland, it's a big thing. So yeah,
That's fair.
yeah,
I was wondering. Yeah, it would be cool if you guys, or rather, I always did think, throughout the years of playing the game, I was like, if you guys ever did a crossover, what the heck would you guys ever do it with for Gwent? That would be a really interesting one.
no,
But
not Peppa
maybe
Pig.
not. I mean, we got a year. You got a year left. You
You
never
never
know.
know.
Never know what opportunity
They've been
can
reaching
knock. I
out
want to
to
see
us saying
Peppa.
like, by the way,
Can we turn Peppa Pig into a monsters card, please? Can we turn Peppa Pig into a relic? That will be the
relic Peppa
Okay, that's
archetype.
tickled
That
me
would be
too
really
much.
cool.
What else have you got for me? You got anything else on your mind there?
Thinking of what else, like we covered Lorcana. That's the kind of new player that I want to talk about. We talked about the card games that excite me still. Yeah, and I think it's always gonna, for me, it's gonna boil down to the way the game is played. I feel like that's the most important aspect always when getting into a card game, and then collectability is also kind of important. I like collecting good art. I like collecting old cards also. So
Oh,
yeah.
I have something, and
Mhm.
I mean, this could break hearts, this question, but
Oh,
I it's I do you guys ever, it's such a, I know you can't say this because you don't control everything, but you know what I would love to still see if you ever get the chance?
okay. Shoot
I would
me.
love to see an art book, man, like a physical
We
art book
had
for Gwent,
one
bro.
for Gwent.
Did you? Because
Yes.
I haven't seen
A
that.
Dark Horse edition. That was the initial first one that we
Oh,
did. But a lot of people are still pushing and petitioning for us to do Art Book Volume 2 and 3 because since that one came out, that was
yeah.
before
When
like
was
all the big
this?
expansions that we introduced. 17 or 18, I would say. It's
Oh,
kind of
okay.
like
Yeah,
old one.
that's like out the gate running kind of thing.
Yeah,
Is
mainly that. Mainly that. Yeah,
Yeah.
2017 it was the first issue of that one. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I
It's
would. I
called
mean,
Gwent Art of the Witcher Card Game.
that it would be really cool to see it. Like, I mean, God, I don't know how that would be a fucking thick book if you did the whole thing now.
Yeah.
Like
Like
that
it would
would
need
be
to
it.
be at least two more volumes for it
Yeah.
in terms of
If
the
you tried to
art.
do it like it is total encompass when I don't, it'd just be
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah.
But more volumes would be cool. But something like that,
Yeah.
it's. I think we'd all love something. I mean, one thing is Displate is something I like.
I do
Um,
too. We collaborated
yeah,
with them. They're super awesome. Yeah.
yeah. The showcasing that art is, I still mean to get a few of the Displates because talking about art, just I'm gonna gush here for a second. um, of the games that I have seen, and have played and physical or otherwise. So we talk about Runeterra. Runeterra has all those fucking,
Yeah.
look at our budget. We've got this ridiculous animations that play, and it's super cool. It's super sick. But like tit for tat, nobody comes close to Gwent when it comes to art,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like you guys just knock it out of the park, and
Dude,
I
our
love it so
artists
much.
really put a lot of love, and sweat and tears and hard work into those arts, and you can tell like they're super awesome, and I love like our artists would bounce stuff off each other and kind of like sit together and kind of talk about the direction of stuff and the whole
Yeah.
creative process. For me, it's just freaking amazing, and kudos to
Mm.
them because I'm also like a big art enjoyer, and same goes for any card game that I play. Like I even collect playmats just for the sake of collecting some of the arts that I love on those those cards. Even right now, like the instead of like using like a desk like a mouse pad, I have a playmat of a Black Lotus from Magic because
Oh my God.
I've always had like playmats instead of like mouse pads because they pretty much do the same thing.
That is cool. That
Yeah.
is freaking
Yeah.
cool, man. I love that so much. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, oh man.
Gotta live and breathe the card game stuff, right? Because it's have been with me since the last couple 20 something years. So you gotta stay true to to what it is.
Heck yeah. And that's what's up there. Did you guys ever have with the art side of things, just curious. Did you guys ever have like like you know how Snap does this variants and stuff like that. Do
Mm-hmm.
you guys ever toy around with like different versions of things to try and release out there, or was the
I wanted
did
those,
you?
but our artists are always kind of like it's even interesting because I saw like pre-production phase when when the artists are working on ours, they create a couple concepts, and all the concepts are, they need to hit a specific mark. Like, is the character in motion, is the character static, is the character sitting, standing, or is there any other supporting characters? Is this like a important character from the lore that needs to have like certain attributes or certain things attached to him or her,
Yeah.
or whatever? Like those things need to happen there.
Mm.
But on the other hand, there are so many different concepts of the same character that you could create multiple versions of a card very easily,
Mm.
and just have alters. But we never kind of did that, which was, for me, was very surprising, because I wanted more alternative versions, because I was like, yeah, let's do Christmas versions and let's do like stuff like that. I love those.
Yeah.
And there was like, well, it's not very witchery. I don't know if that makes sense, because it's like portraying our characters in a funny way for a long period of time was almost impossible, until we all had like Geralt and different things. Like, we've always been
Mm.
very protective in some sense of how you can showcase
Like
these.
a rule book of how it should
Yeah,
be portrayed, kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. They got to stick to the lore and to the franchise, and kind of like, this isn't a universe in which everybody's drinking hot cocoa and gathering around the Christmas tree. There's war outside and there's stuff happening. Well, on the other hand, you have monsters coming from a different dimension, and ooh. Kind of doesn't work. But with superheroes, anything goes, right? Like, I
Yeah.
think you have the IP there is more flexible.
A little bit more flexible.
Yeah.
I mean, one way I think one thing I wanted to also sort of big up for you guys is, it's talking about art again, just because fucking favorite subject of mine. You guys also really, always gave back to the art community. I felt with your art contests and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love those. Yeah.
Though those were
Yeah.
some of my favorite things to see. Because there's a lot of I think for like a lot of communities and CCGs, there's a lot of like unsung heroes that are out there doing stuff for the game, like in their support, that a lot of people don't see, because I think the first foray, the first face
Yeah.
in like a digital card game sense, physical card game sense, or whatever, is the players, the streamers, and that's sort of like
Yeah.
the content creators are the first faces you see.
That's how we got your favorite card into the game, from the first art contest that we did for Gwent. Oh God.
That's not my favorite card.
Art in
No,
Gwent.
you can stop that. Right, please stop spreading that.
Yeah.
Listen, okay. I lived in horror with the art, all god art, because every day people would just send me a Photoshop picture of myself on that man, and they said, "What are you doing here?" No, I'm kidding. No, I like all guard as a card, but yeah, the art contest stuff was the sickest.
Yeah.
And is this? I want to know just off the bat. You guys, is there one more on the round, or is this just we're gonna go with the game, or do we not know?
I don't know. We did the second one. It would be cool.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah,
to have maybe something from that one join the game a little bit more. Maybe that's the kind of direction to go. But for now, it was the one that we were kind of like.
I mean, I will say one suggestion anyway,
Yeah.
just while I'm speaking out here. Dude, you got to end with like it'd be cool to end with like because you guys are doing your competitive season and stuff.
Yeah.
We never got another partners tournament,
True.
We never.
True.
We need a new partners tournament, and that will bring back a lot of old faces just for one final hurrah. Think about that one.
I'm keeping that.
Think about that one. That would be a good one. That would be a good one.
By the way, Tech XX1, thank you for the raid.
Yeah, thank you for the raid. Sorry, I was gushing about art so much, but thank you guys for the raid. Hello, raiders. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Balancing Act, the lovely podcast in which me and Burza just share drinks without having drinks in our hands, and we just talk the world of.
I have water.
I do not have water. I came ill prepared.
That's a mistake.
Okay.
Gotta hydrate. Gotta hydrate.
I do hydrate. I just, I got, I put my nice pink
Yeah.
sweater on, and I was like, let's get. I was too excited, to be honest. Like, I jumped in
Yeah.
the chair, and I was like, let's do this, man.
Yeah, it's exciting to have this possibility to just talk about stuff, and the topics are very 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 wide, as you can see, because so we started with CCGs and we're kind of still on the topic of CCGs, but
We're
we're kind of
there.
but
Yeah.
we're more going into art and then balance and stuff like jumping around.
Don't say the words balance. Don't say the words balance. People are gonna have like 5 million questions for that, man.
Balance. Why did you do
Did
this? Why did you
how
do that?
did that ever, like, on any level, did that ever get to you guys? Yeah, like, does the noise get to you guys when it comes
It
to the
does.
whole?
It
Yeah,
does. It
yeah.
does, but I feel like I mean, mainly does to the people who work on balance specifically. So, like, to all the gameplay designers, it kind of gets to them. It's much easier once they kind of work a little bit longer on the balance side from the perspective of a developer versus what the community perceives balance should be, and kind of putting these things together and kind of trying to find like your own like balancing act almost in it,
Yep,
where you're kind
yep,
of
yep.
like, we should be leaning this way, or we should be leaning into this, we should be doing this, or we should be doing that, like we should maybe listen to the community here, but here they're wrong, maybe we should not. So
Mm.
you gotta kind of find the middle ground that works for everybody, and I feel like balance is a fickle beast, and it's not something that you will get done like
It's
100% properly.
it's a
Yeah.
rough one for
Yeah.
sure. Um, Once again, my dog.
Yeah.
Give me a sec. I'm gonna let her up.
No.
Uh, I will be just a moment. But I have one question I want to ask
Yeah.
you on the relation of balance. Is there a change that you regret at all? Like, you got, don't pussyfoot around it. Like, genuinely, if you could change something back, what would you bring back? Be right back.
God, if I could change something back and go into it the way it was. I'm not a balanced person, so that's always difficult because I've never really tried to give like my opinion on balance. Like what I wanted is maybe say like what I would want some of the cards to kind of, in which direction it would be cool for them to go. But whenever I said it was based more off of what the community wanted at that time, which is not always good and it's not always perfect.
Mm.
But for me, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that I would say like, oh, I want to go back. I want to have this the way it was. Maybe I would like old Skellige discard to work as well as it did in like
Oh
the
yeah,
beta days, because
yeah.
it was like a clutch deck.
Mm.
But maybe it's just the nostalgia speaking.
I have a controversial one. Not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might hate me for it, but I miss the old Ethereal.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh
miss
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people hated it, but man,
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays I don't think it'd be too much of an issue. Like, even as an old one,
Yeah.
I liked it back in the day. That was I don't know. I enjoyed that. No, I mean, I'm just trying to think of anything else, because talking. This is the card game episode, so if there's any questions I have for you right now, this would
No.
be the one I want to really really ask him, because we can focus in on them. Um, with for your own experience in working in card
Mm-hmm.
games and everything, and having done Gwent, um, are there any? What's the sort of like? What's the biggest? What's the biggest advice you would give to somebody who wants to make, a life of card games in a similar vein as you? Because I know a lot of people probably see you or other people who are working on CCGs or anything, like, within your own experience. If you had to give advice to somebody who wanted to make that something that they want to actually do, similar to
Mm-hmm.
you, what would you tell them?
It's a tough one because I think I was in the right place at the right time, due to the fact that when we started working on Gwen standalone, I was at the time like going religiously to like all Magic events and playing, and my
Yeah.
colleagues from work, they saw that passion for the game. I was going to tournaments. I was actually I remember, I think, in like a raffle or something, I won like this big Avacyn like cardboard thing that I brought to the office, and we kind of had it on display there, and people were excited about that. And
Yeah.
I was kind of, getting my colleagues into playing Magic after work and all that stuff, and kind of everybody noticed that. This guy is really into card games, like more than any one of us, and is playing competitively. Wouldn't it be cool to have him on like the Gwen team? And I remember like I was surprised because I was one of those dudes that didn't really play a lot of Gwent in The Witcher 3. Like it was not something that I was really interested in, but I loved the universe. I loved Witcher, everything Witcher related. That's why I
Yeah.
joined the company, and I was into card games, so it kind of was like a good marriage there. And they were like, okay, if he's so into card games, let's give him the opportunity to work on the game. And it just happened naturally. Like it started with working on the community side in terms of like community management, and then posting stuff about the game on social media. Started like brainstorming ideas for the game, for constants, for any type of like community acquisitions,
Mm.
and stuff like that. So I also, very quickly got into the game, started playing it religiously, like all the time. And we still have this. I remember we went for the first challenger back in 2017, that we did, where we invited like people like PPD, Life Coach, and Noxious, and,
Uh,
and guys like that. I was like super starstruck, first of all, to meet all of them. That's one
mm.
thing, because I knew them from from just being in the industry. But the other thing was just that, I remember, everybody still remembers that I was in a room with a colleague, and the first thing he remembered, and the from that event, is like he woke up like it was 7 in the morning or 7:30, and the first thing he saw was just me in my pajamas playing on my laptop Gwent for like the before breakfast and before like anything started. I was just like so into the game, and I feel like they just saw the passion, because I feel like if you're passionate about something, and you do it, and you don't treat it as a job, it very quickly can lead to something more. And I mean, once you find your niche or your interest and you're very into it, I feel like others will see that you're passionate about it, and it's genuine and
Yeah.
it's fun. Like, and that's where you kind of build something off of it. And I still remember what was crazy. I never took it into account, was I had, once we started working on Gwen, we started doing the streams and stuff like that. We even had like colleagues who were working on the project, but also not working on the project, maybe focusing on Witcher or Cyberpunk, coming into me and saying like we admire the stuff that you've been doing for Gwen. Like we've seen it, we've seen
Uh,
the streams and stuff like that. It shows your passion for the game, which is not something that we always see, because they always kind of treat like, on the dev side, you get treated as not a dev but like a marketing person. You kind
mm.
of see sometimes marketing people being kind of the ones that are trying to sell you something, even if they are not very passionate about it or don't like the product that much, but they are just pushing this agenda for like, oh, this is so awesome, I'm so excited about it. But in like, that inside that they're
I
kind of doing it, and they're not very
I have
passionate
actual
about it.
point of
Yeah,
reference for
yeah.
that, oddly enough, like because people who are listening to me I don't know, but I worked in the games industry myself
Yeah.
for a bit there, and I started out in customer service for a company called PCube,
Mm-hmm.
who do Japanese games, and they have retro game side of things as well. And my boss was a marketing guy.
Mm-hmm.
I fell under a marketing guy
I
because yeah, it wasn't they didn't have a lot of structure, so
Mm-hmm.
he was mostly the marketing guy, but he oversaw basically like us. There was three starters. It was me, customer service, social media guy, and a YouTube guy.
Okay.
They just wanted to try something for the company, and I
Mm-hmm.
joined, and um, literally like he was just a marketing guy.
Mm-hmm.
He had, he played maybe a few old games, but he didn't know the Japanese side. He didn't know a lot of the modern stuff. Like he had his collective of things that he liked.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. He's good at what he does. He can sell things, et cetera, et cetera. But a year and a half later, I got the social media guys role,
Mm-hmm.
and I know all of the games that they're getting. You know, the Japanese side, I love all the games that they're getting. I dive myself into whatever I don't know, etc. So when I took over, it sort of shone night and day kind of thing, the
Mm-hmm.
passion. So something like that, and I got the same sort of feedback where it was like, hey, we're getting really good engagement and a lot of like love, and people are saying it's like, they just notice, and there's just
Okay.
so much more. And for you, I feel like, just getting that recognition from your colleagues,
Mm-hmm.
where it was like, hey, we can just see it, that
Yeah.
passion. Like, it's so easy to forget when you're in it, but people are looking at you, do your thing on a day-to-day basis from a company angle. People can still see it, whether it's Slack engagement or whatever you're doing there, or just whatever you're putting out there. People just notice and people talk.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, I
think
was
something like that
surprised
is,
by it. I was surprised that there were so many eyeballs on it because I wasn't like fully aware of it. Like I was expecting like the community to be there for Grand players, but I wasn't expect like my own colleagues to be kind of checking that part of it out.
yeah,
And it's cool because you make a lot of friendships among people that just approach you and say that, wow, awesome stuff, really enjoyed that. You're kind of upping our game when it comes
yeah.
to like streaming and doing like talking with the community and stuff like that. But it just came out of just passion and kind of felt natural to do. Like I don't feel
It's
like
like
there was.
breathing.
Yeah, you feel like it's the way things should be, and when you're doing things the way they should be, and you're putting your passion into it, then I guess it's kind of it's fine, right? It's perfect. Yeah.
And that's circling back, I guess, to the question about like how do I get into the industry and stuff like that. Burza, sort of, you talked about it. The big thing is being in the right time in the right place and just
Yeah.
having a level of passion. Don't be overzealous about it either. Like, don't just tag CEOs and companies trying to join places or something.
No,
But like
that's the
for
least
me,
effective way to join.
that is the yeah. You do not, like, people are going to giggle at
Yeah.
you and say, yeah, there's no chance this dude's getting
No.
anywhere. I shot, like, the way that I did it and the way that I've been getting, I get jobs and things generally is just approach people, oddly enough.
Mm-hmm.
I sent an email rather than like going through, looking for an actual opening. I didn't even look at the website. I just went to a company that I liked, which was this one.
Yeah.
And I just sent them an email saying, hey, here's my resume if you guys have
Yeah.
anything that's going on. And they were like, oddly enough, at this moment in time, we need someone to do customer service. It's a right place, right time kind of thing.
Yeah. But
Um,
also just applying. Just I feel like sometimes just taking the step and considering, am
that
I good enough to join this industry? Should I be doing this? Like if you're having doubts, that means that probably you should, unless you're not qualified in any way. Like I was doing other stuff before I joined CDPR, but I
yeah,
just saw an opening on Facebook for like an assistant position in the community team. And I was like, yeah, my English writing's pretty good, and like I am passionate about games. Tick tick tick. Yeah, let's try. And I just applied. And if you
hmm
apply for these positions, it's very easy to start from the bottom and then try to see if this works for you, and also like see if you can like take the passion and drive that you have already and kind of channel it into something that is cool and productive and is good, and you're learning, the company is benefiting from that, so everybody's kind of on the up and up. So yeah, just try it. It doesn't cost you
Having that
anything.
experience
Yeah.
just matters, and
Yeah.
that passion. I mean, you guys could pull from your own community quite a bit, I
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
just being involved
I mean, Ryan
is
working on Gwent, he came from the community, like a part of
that's
the
what I mean. Yeah,
community. Yeah. So someone
you
that,
guys have so many examples.
yeah, and there's more like that. There's Malegion working on, the balance of Gwent and stuff like that. Were a lot of guys that throughout the time were just like, pulling them out and kind of having them Garuna before that. Like, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Rashid has a shot.
Yeah, Rashid always has a shot. Yeah. I mean, he's buddy with me. He's a moderator on my Twitch channel, so always. Always.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Rashid to take your position. That'll be great.
That would be perfect. I have finally someone speaking their mind, but I don't know if the higher ups would be okay with that, and I don't know if Vlad would be happy about that. But I mean, last year, like if we go out with a bang.
I think that might be a particular one.
Yeah.
Bless.
Yeah.
I love talking about that guy. I love him
Yeah.
so much. You got to get him
Same.
on
We need
here.
to have him as a guest
We
appearance.
definitely do.
Yeah, I
We
owe
definitely
him
do.
because we were supposed to go stream Witcher 3 due to
Oh yeah, I
through the
forgot.
holiday
Yeah,
season, but I was so focused on Persona that I forgot about that.
I can't believe you forego a co-op Witcher experience for a Weeb experience.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's more to you.
what happened to the guy?
Oh my goodness, this guy.
That's where he fell. That's where he
This guy's a
that's what
weeb, everybody.
that's where the wrong turn happened.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Um, have you got anything else? Because I feel like we might have
No,
gotten
I think
through.
we exhausted this topic. We're also running into 2 hours, which is crazy.
Have we done it again,
Yes, it's
bruh?
1:56 at the moment. So
I did not even
yeah,
notice.
me
Like I'm
neither,
telling you,
because
I
it
could.
flows by so quick when we're talking.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, I could literally like. I'm happy to talk about whatever, but this. I mean, this is the essence of the podcast. Is just
Hmm.
chat whatever we want.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe let's pack it in for this subject here. And say our goodbyes and see you next time.
CCGs.
When can they hear us next time, Berger? When
Next
are they
time
going to
on
hear us?
Wednesday, we're back. We're gonna just try to stick to this Wednesday schedule at 6 p.m. CET.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna keep that cadence going, and then probably either the same day, which means today, or the next day, you will be seeing these episodes on YouTube on Denpai's channel.
It all depends on rendering time and stuff like that.
Yep.
So bear with me if YouTube wants to be messy with me. It will be either up there in the evening or first thing in the morning. So
Yep.
bear with me on the YouTube side, but I will get it up there and you guys can have a listen to.
Yep. Jump over
But
on our Twitters. That's where you'll be getting all the information about when we're going live, when
Mhm.
the episodes are being posted on YouTube, and also, if you want to see pics of, bicycles, that's probably where you're gonna get
robots
here,
over here.
and
Yep.
robots and other anime stuff on the Denpai's side.
From me and Berja here, I can say confidently is I just want to say a big thank you to you
Oh yeah,
guys for
for
making
tuning
this
in.
tuning in and making this what it is. I mean,
Yeah,
we're happy to have some ears to listen in on what we want to talk about,
we just
and
love talking to one another too, which is awesome.
that's
Yeah,
I said it before we started, before we were recording. It's
yeah,
just like I imagine it like just buddies having a beer kind of thing, and
yeah,
that's the whole idea behind this.
yeah.
So as long as we've got voices to talk and things to talk about, we will be here doing our own balancing act, as it were, of things to talk
Amen.
about. So
Amen.
thank
If
you
you have
guys
any
so much.
topics or any questions or any
Yeah,
suggestions or anything, feel free to drop them
hit
to
us up
us.
on
Yeah.
socials,
Yeah.
drop us
Yeah.
messages, and like would this format changes. What we want to talk about changes all the time. We can have it midweek where we say fuck it, let's talk about this today. So just by all means engage, let us know. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and it means the damn world to us.
Amen. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next week.
Adios, dudes.
Bye bye.